Good afternoon. Welcome at this Society Labs Tech Talk webinar. My name is Rik Marcelis. I'm together with Dennis Kurtz, and we will talk about strengthening your IT delivery with the quality engineering strategy. And well, Dennis, maybe it's good if we first introduce ourselves, don't you think?
Yeah. Shall I start?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Hello, good afternoon, or at least afternoon in the Netherlands. I'm Dennis Kurtz, and I'm a lead software architect at Society for almost 5.5 years. And I'm one of the co-authors of the book Quality for DevOps Teams.
Yeah, this book, the book that we are, well, really proud of, I can say.
Yeah.
And my name is Rik Marcelis. I'm Principal Quality Consultant at Society in the Netherlands. And I've been working with Society for almost 14 years now and have been involved in quality engineering and testing for, well, more than 20 years. And like Dennis said, we created the book Quality for DevOps Teams. That's the latest book in the TMAP body of knowledge. And we have a little surprise for you because three people in the audience can win a electronic version of the book. So at the end of this session, we will announce the three people that get a free download of the book. And by the way, I know that quite a number of people already have a book. It's available both in paper form and as an EPUB version that you can read on any device like phones, tablets, and of course on your computer. Well, let's go ahead and Dennis.
Yeah, thank you.
Away.
Yeah, the challenges of today's high-performance IT delivery. Yeah, I think we are all in some role or in some phase of involved with the realization and implementation of IT systems. And often we work in iterations, and every iteration we are challenged to deliver business value, but not just business value. It should be business value with a high quality. And it should be the first time right. We should not do it deployment after deployment with bugs. No, we should deliver the first time right a working system. So we are supposed to deliver high quality at an amazing speed. And nowadays we tend to do that in teams, and teams where not a single role or a single person is responsible for that high quality at an amazing speed. Because you don't do on test-in quality, but we like to do it on built-in. And when you are doing built-in quality, you start at the beginning. So it is a whole team approach. So the whole team is responsible for the quality engineering. So it should also be an integrated part of your development process, and of course also of the people. And to achieve that, that challenge of delivering high-speed business value with a team that shares the responsibility, you need to focus on a few things, and that is, first of all, how do you organize your high-performing cross-functional team? And to eliminate all those error-prone, time-consuming, repetitive tasks. You need also to automate as much as you can. And of course, with the note, do not automate a task that you are doing only a few times. That's not feasible. So only automate when it is useful to automate.
And like Dennis said, one of the things that business people want is business value. And to support that, we have created the so-called voice model. And at the top, you see the scope of business delivery, because, of course, we are all working to make businesses be worthwhile. And then the first step in business delivery is to determine what the business value is that we would like to deliver. And when we know the business value, then we come in the scope of IT delivery, because nowadays business value and business delivery is always supported by IT. And the first step is to define the objectives, and with the objectives have find the quality measures that you need to build quality in. Like Dennis already said, we want quality at speed and we want to do it right first time. So we want to build quality in by applying relevant quality measures. But then, of course, we also need to know if we are actually getting towards our pursued business value. So we need to measure if we are reaching these objectives, and that is done by measuring indicators. And measuring these indicators is mainly testing. And testing supplies information based on these indicators, and that information is used by the stakeholders to support their confidence in the pursued value. And when they have enough confidence, then they will say it's a go. We will take the new part of IT live, and then the users will experience the real value. And while experiencing the real value, they will also get new ideas about further improvement of the quality. So that's why we have this value improvement loop. And if you work in a DevOps way with a Kanban approach, you may add value several times per day. If you work in a Scrum fashion, it may be every 2 weeks, every sprint. And if you work in a more traditional way, it may be a month or even a quarter or whatever. So this voice model applies to basically every IT delivery model. But of course, we focus on high performance IT delivery these days. And by the way, you may already have figured out why it's called the voice model. That's just the starting letters of value, objectives, indicators, confidence, and experience. Let's have a little more look at indicators. And in the book, we describe 3 groups of indicators that are really important. And there's a lot of things in the book that connect with product, process, and people. So we have product-related or business value-related indicators. And I'll give a couple of examples here. I won't read out every example, and we also have process related indicators. They tell something about the IT delivery process. We have team related indicators that tell something about the people in the team. For example, do we have the right skills, or are people happy? And then the last group is about quality in general, and it's also problem related. And there I would like to put one warning. So sometimes people measure just the number of problems they have found or the number of anomalies. But in my opinion, the number of anomalies itself doesn't say much, because if you want few anomalies, you simply shouldn't test. But hey, that's not what we advocate. However, there are some problem-related indicators that are useful to see the progress and the quality of your system. Some people look at our book and see that we have 1.5 pages of examples of indicators, and then we would like to put a warning there, because don't do too many indicators. So in general, you should have somewhere between 5 and 10 indicators, and that is more than enough to keep track of whether you are approaching your pursued business value. Dennis, would you tell us something about the IT delivery models?
Of course, yeah. This is also a little bit generic information, but to give you some context, in the book we divide all the delivery models into 3 categories. Well, the first one, the sequential IT delivery models. like a waterfall, which was pretty popular in the past, but nowadays you rarely see them used by organizations, or at least in the Netherlands. The second part of the second category are the high performance IT delivery models, like Scrum and DevOps, where we see the DevOps as a cross-functional engineering culture that aims to create, maintain, and deliver IT systems, where the whole team is responsible for delivering the quality. And DevOps is a delivery model with an agile mindset, and Scrum is an implementation of that, and that supports that mindset. And the last one are the hybrid IT delivery models, which is a blend of the first two models, the sequential and the high performance IT delivery model. Save and demand supply are good examples. And large organizations often apply these practices, where we use multiple product or feature teams, and to let them work seamlessly together. And you can use a popular one is Save, of course. And of course, the nice to tell is that DevOps, one of the founders of DevOps is Patrick Dubois, and he has written our preface of our book. So
yeah.
And Rik is now showing it to the camera. So, and now we are going to our first Menti question. Can you show the first Menti? Shibangi? Yeah, super. So please go to menti.com and use the code 97957038. And the first question, you can see it in here also. What is your opinion, or what is in your opinion more important? And is that quality engineering? Is that testing? Or are those things equally important? What is your opinion? So let's wait a moment. I see 3 people voted.
We have about 30 people in the call, so let's wait until we have like 20 votes at least.
Equally important is now winning.
Oh, well, but not even half of the people have voted, so maybe that changes. So for the people that are still trying to log in, you can both use an app on your phone, or you can just use your browser to go to menti.com and enter the code here. And a few votes are still coming in, so let's wait a few more moments.
Okay, but I think
well,
of our attendance.
The general trend is clear that most people think that quality engineering and testing are equally important. And well, obviously, we would like to tell something about it, but probably we were not very fair asking this question, isn't it, Dennis? Because we had not explained yet what we think the definitions of quality engineering and testing are. So shall we have a look at that? I'll share my screen again.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a moment.
Yeah, so when we wrote this book about 2.5 years ago, we unfortunately didn't add the definition of quality engineering into the book. And the term is mentioned multiple times in the book, but it wasn't, we didn't wrote a good definition of it.
Well, in the second edition we did.
Yeah. So in the second edition, we gave a definition of it. So in the addendum and also the addendum, we have a definition of it. Yeah, so can you show the complete definition of quality engineering, Rik? Yeah, so the definition of quality engineering, it is about team members and their stakeholders taking a joint responsibility to continuously deliver IT systems with the right quality at the right moment to the business people and their customers. And so in here you also see a lot of terms where we in the beginning or in the first slide or in the first slide we were talking about the challenges and the demands, and here you see a lot of things coming back. The joint responsibility, the whole team approach, the right quality at the right moment, with the right speed. So, and the second, and it is in principle, it is a software engineering concern about applying quality measures, and we continue with quality measures in a few slides to assure that the quality of the IT system. So, and quality measures are, well, I'm now going to spoil it, activities to aim and or achieve a certain level of quality.
Yeah. So that's the definition of quality engineering. And then probably you also would like to know the definition of testing. And there are multiple definitions of testing, but in TMAP today, this is the definition. And it is testing consists of verification, validation, and exploration activities that provide information about the quality and the related risks to establish the level of confidence that a test object will be able to deliver the pursued business value. So totally aligned with the voice model, you again see here that it is all about business value and having information that is about quality and related risks to support stakeholders in deciding whether they have confidence or not. And you may have heard definitions of testing before that said it is verification and validation, where verification checks if things are built according to specifications. Validation is to make sure that the solution is fit for purpose. But we have added exploration because you don't only want to check, do we get what was asked for and do we get what is needed, but also don't we get other things? And the most interesting example of this is security testing, where ethical hackers will try to break the system by just exploring possibilities that the developers probably didn't imagine. So that's the definition of quality engineering and testing. And then come back to our Menti question, which was, which one is more important? Well, in our opinion, quality engineering is the overarching term, which is about building quality in. So also about preventive quality measures, and we will get back to this term. And within quality engineering, we have testing, which is about providing information, so-called detective quality measures. Or anything to add, Dennis? I'm not sure. No, okay, well, let's continue. Quality and test policy. So basically, most organizations are in favor of risk-based testing. And risk-based testing means you need to establish the risk level or the risk class. And generally, we say that if you have a high quality risk, then also you want a high intensity of your quality measures. So high quality measure intensity. And by the way, on the right, you see a picture from the book, a strategy table, where you see a user story 1, which has two important characteristics, functionality and usability. And for user story 1, the functionality is risk class A, so that is very important. So at least one of the quality measures should get 3 dots to indicate that you do high intensity. Another possibility is medium risk. Then you would have medium quality measure intensity. That would be 2 dots. And you could have low quality risk. Then you will find only 1 dot. You have low intensity. Some people ask, what do you do with no risk? Well, with no risk, we don't need any quality measures, because when there is no risk, that means if this fails, nobody has a problem. So actually nobody needs it. So we won't develop it. So there's no development and testing when there is no risk. And the big advantage there is that if you don't build things people don't need, then also these things can't fail, because nothing is more annoying than people complaining that something fails that actually they don't need. On the other hand, this discussion about no risk also sometimes is triggered because people know that with the less the risk, the lower we put effort in it. So they think that's very cheap. So if we say no risk, then we won't spend any effort on quality, but hey, we also won't develop it by that. Why is all of this important? Well, because we want to balance the prevention and detection efforts and cost on one hand. So that is about doing quality measures for building in quality and for getting the information about the quality. But on the other hand, if you do little prevention and detection, then you will have a lot of cost for failing IT systems. So therefore, you need to find balance with that. And that's also where your risk-based development and testing will help. So that is the intro. And then now we come to the quality engineering strategy. And Dennis, why do we need a quality engineering strategy?
Yeah, so why quality engineering? Okay, well, in the book, we were talking about the testing strategy, and you saw also a picture a few slides ago with Rik about the testing strategy, and probably you also lots of you made a strategy, and that's an approach where you combine IT delivery items, quality characteristics, and static and dynamic testing into one strategy. But if you have looked at, if you saw on the picture, there was also some column which mentioned about other quality measures, and that is of course interesting, because similar to what we saw earlier, and also in a Menti, that testing is part of the quality engineering balloon. So we needed to extend the testing strategy a little bit more, so it becomes a quality engineering strategy. So, and I think, well, it is good that you now see that everything comes a little bit together. And what you here see is, of course, when we are currently building systems, we want to have, we want to fail fast, and we want to continuously get feedback, and we are continuously testing, and that is what we see as the shift left approach. And you are doing it with the complete team. So you are now, and that's also what the quality engineering strategy supports, is that you already think about quality when the first feature request is raised. Then you're already thinking, okay, how am I going to engineer this, and how am I going to apply all the quality engineering of quality measures to this feature. So can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so, well, I already mentioned it. A quality engineering, a quality measure is a group of activities that is aimed to create a certain level of quality, and it is you do it, you apply it in a certain step or phase, in your development life cycle.
Yeah, and what I always like to add for non-native English people, that sometimes for non-native English speakers, the word measure is confusing, because measure on the one hand is about measuring something, and on the other hand, a quality measure is an activity or a group of activities. So it is good to keep that in mind, because one of the quality measures, so one of the groups of activities, is testing. And what testing actually does is measuring quality. So I hope now I didn't make it even more confusing, but that's about the terminology. And Dennis, we have three groups of activities, of quality measures.
Yeah, so we have talked about the quality engineering strategy, quality measures, and you can divide all those quality measures into three categories. Well, and the first one is the preventive quality measures, and that is, of course, to prevent a lack in quality. And here you see a few examples, pair programming, and I'm from the development area, so pair programming is a popular way to prevent a lack of quality. If you are only a single developer looking at some code, some developers are of course good, and but if there are four eyes looking to a piece of code or to a feature, it's always better than one pair of eyes.
And today we like to frame it in a positive way, so the preventive measures actually help building in quality.
Yeah. So of course, and the definition of done, and next, besides these categories, we also have a few groups, and the definition of done is one quality measure which you always apply when you start working on an IT delivery item, or you have worked on an IT delivery item. So it should meet the definition of done, and there is a kind of checklist, and you can validate.
Oh, and now your sound has dropped, Dennis. Well, I think you will be back soon, but let me take over. Yes, I can hear you again.
Okay, I'm on my cell phone, so I took some quality measures already, some preventive quality measures.
Okay, great. Well, let's continue with the detective quality measures.
Yeah, so and I had Rik in this meeting as a detective quality measure for my internet connection. So that was a measure to detect a lack of quality, and to give me information about the quality, and maybe I should do something to improve the quality. And reviewing is a good example of a detective quality measure. Then you go to the next one, and code analysis is always you can do it in an automated way or in a manual way. And the last one, it wasn't on the slides with the quality engineering and the testing, but corrective quality measures is a group of activities to improve the quality of your IT system, of your product. And here we mention feature toggles. So if you are delivering something to production, and eventually it turns out that it isn't that good as you thought it was, you can use a feature toggle to switch that feature off. Or if you found out that you've built something and it wasn't quite that good, and then you are going to maybe rebuild that feature again, it's also a corrective quality measure. Yeah, can you go to the next slide?
Well, the next slide actually is the next Menti question, because we want to just see and ask our audience on their opinion, because we have now shown three groups of quality measures. And then Shibangi, can you show it. So the next Menti question will be, in which category does the quality measure refactoring fit? So we're just waiting for Shibangi to share her screen.
I can already see it. So I see
okay.
already.
Okay, well then, so if you still have your Menti open, you should now see the new question, and then you can vote for whether it is a preventive, a detective, or a corrective measure. But by the way, Dennis, I on my screen can't see it. Do you? So you should comment on what you see coming in.
Yeah, I see already 6 votes now on this Menti. 7 votes, and mainly on corrective and a few on preventive. So nobody detective. So now I see 12 votes. Okay, yeah. Let's wait.
Okay, I can also see it now. So
yeah,
so it looks like
votes.
A lot of people think it's corrective, and obviously we gave only one possibility to choose. So, but what's your opinion on this, Dennis?
I think this one is debatable. You can discuss if it is either a preventive one or a corrective one. So if you are upfront seeing that you are building a similar functionality which is already in your product, and you are going to refactor your product upfront, then I think it is a preventive quality measure. But if you are going to apply refactoring after you have delivered it, and then you found out it's not that good, then you are then going to refactor. Then it is a corrective measure. But I think this one and also feature toggles are quality measures that don't fit in one category. Solely. So yeah, these are, you can debate about these quality measures, and maybe they should fit into categories. Thank you for this, for the feedback. Can you, and also what I already told, we have 3 categories, but you can also divide them on another axis from another perspective into 2 groups, and that are the specific quality measures and the generic quality measures. And the specific quality measures are of course the quality measure you apply on an IT delivery item with a specific quality attribute, like if you are moving a button from the left to the right to the screen, you are probably not going to do performance testing, but you apply a specific test, a specific quality measure, like for instance usability testing or A/B testing, because it is specific for that feature request or IT delivery item. Similar is if measuring the performance of a web page or an application or a batch application, then you have a specific quality attribute and you apply specific quality measures for that quality attribute. And the opposite is, of course, the generic quality measures. Quality measures like the definition of ready. If you are ready to start working on that task, on that IT delivery item, or the definition of done, the checklist, if you are really done with the IT delivery item, that are quality measures that apply on all delivery items. And you will always apply them to on your product. So that are the 2 areas, specific and generic quality measures. Okay, sorry. And to conclude this this block, of course, our goal with the quality engineering strategy is to relate IT delivery items with quality measures, with the main goal to achieve built-in quality measure, built-in quality. And Rik will now continue and show that you also take into account the intensity and the quality attribute.
Yeah. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the quality engineering strategy, because like Dennis said, we have explained what is quality engineering, and we want to have a quality engineering strategy that relates all these things. So the first thing to put in a quality engineering strategy, and by the way, you probably can't read the table. That's not a problem because we will have examples of this table on the next couple of slides. So first, bear with me just to see what are the main objectives of this table. So at the start of the table, we show the IT delivery items like user stories, features, epics, whatever. And for these IT delivery items, we will determine the relevant quality attributes. We talked about it before. Things like functionality, performance, security, usability, maintainability, etc. And for each combination of IT delivery item and quality attribute, we determine the risk class. And if you want to know how, well, we, for example, advocate to use risk poker, which is an extension of planning poker. And that will result in A for high risk, B for medium risk, a C for low risk. So that's a clear indication of the risk level. When you know the risk level, then you should assign the intensity of your quality measures. So the next step is to determine the intensity to apply with your quality measures, and after that, select the appropriate quality measure. Now, what would that look like? Let's have a look on the next slide. So on this slide, you see the table enlarged, and since we didn't have enough time, room to put it all on one thing, we have split the table somewhat, but normally it is just 2 rows. So the first row is the user story 1 functionality, and then you see it's a high risk user story, and then we'll apply 3 dots for the built-in quality. So that's the first big column here, build quality in, and there we need preventive quality measures with 3 dots. And based on the 3 dots, we can select a quality measure, for example, pair programming, like Dennis already explained. Then we have decided that even though the risk class is A, for static quality measures, we think a medium intensity quality measure is good enough. Well, that's something you can decide within your team, as long as at least one quality measure is at the highest level. That's fine. Then for dynamic quality measures, which is basically dynamic testing, we apply 3 dots, and here we have the example that we would apply path testing with test depth level 2 and extend it with exploratory testing, because remember, testing is about verification and validation, which are very well done with test design techniques, and it is about exploration, which you can do very well with an approach like exploratory testing. And finally, we have the column of improving the quality, where we have the corrective quality measures. And here we also put 3 bullets with feature toggles. So that is the quality engineering strategy table that a team should make to support applying the correct quality measures on their activities and related to the user stories, or generic quality measures, like Dennis already mentioned, and I think that's on the next slide. Yeah, on the next slide, we have an overview of the table with a few more rows, and there you can also see the generic quality measures, where, for example, we say to build quality in, we have a definition of ready, to make sure that user stories are properly finished and refined before we start actually working on them and before we start doing static and dynamic testing. Then we have some quality measures related to static and dynamic. And at the end, we have some corrective quality measure that is also very generic, like refactoring. If you like, you can download the template from the TMAP website. By the way, the version we are showing now is the version 0.9. On the website, it is still 0.8 because we are still working on it, but that's something we'll get back to in a couple of slides. And this is how tmap.net looks. And if on tmap.net you go to downloads and then you get a little drop-down list, you can select templates. And then if you click on templates, you can find the quality engineering strategy table template. And I would like to do a brief demo of the template. Oops, it opens on the wrong window. So there it is. So because what we have in the template is, like we described, the IT delivery items that should be filled in here, then the quality characteristics and the risk class. And then based on the risk class, you first fill in the dots on the intensity for the different groups of quality measures. And then you can fill in the actual quality measure that you should take in that situation. Now, a template is always nice, but maybe you would like to have some help with filling it out. Therefore, we have put in an example, actually the example that we just already saw on the slides. And also we put in a list of quality measures. And here we have the preventive quality measures, we have static quality measures, we have dynamic quality measures, and for all of them we have both generic and specific measures. And we also have the corrective quality measures. All in all, at this moment, we have about 70 different quality measures, and actually we are still working on the list because there are even more. So don't think you have to apply all of the quality measures. The quality engineering strategy is always about making a solid choice from the quality measures that are available. So it helps you to determine what level of quality do we need to reach because of our desired business value, and then find the quality measures that actually contribute to that quality level. So that brings us to the last Menti question, Shibangji. And this Menti question is an open question. So what quality measure is not applied enough? So we said there are about 70 quality measures, but what is a quality measure that you think should be done more often? And I see the first person has already put one in, pair programming. And indeed, I agree that pair programming should definitely be done as often as possible. But I'm also very curious to other people. What kind of quality measures can you also imagine? And would you also like to see? Definition of ready. Yeah. All too often people start with user stories that are not really ready yet. Definition of done. Well, okay, but on the other hand, I think definition of done is one of the things that is applied reasonably often. Code refactoring. Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your opinion on that, Dennis, in your experience?
I think that indeed code refactoring is not applied enough. In my teams, I always use the Boy Scout rule. So leave the campground cleaner than you found it. So if you find in your code some weird situation or weird construction, yeah, please fix it and and apply refactoring. And if you have enough unit tests, you can do it in a safe way, because the unit test will validate if the functionality is still works as desired. So yeah, I think that we should refactor more. Testing at early stages,
Yeah, testing at early stages is also important, because that relates to shift left, like Dennis explained in the beginning. Try to take your quality measures as early as possible. Right skills for the job is also a thing that triggers me, because we do see people that don't have enough skills, and then it becomes quite difficult. And applying quality measures obviously requires that people have the skills to do these quality measures actually. And then I see static tests in general. Well, I agree, static testing is often omitted. People think that dynamic testing will be enough, but static testing is a very cheap and easy way of improving quality or achieving quality. Defect problem isolation, I think that relates to root cause analysis. And so not only fix a problem, but find the actual cause and try to prevent a problem from occurring again in the future. And that indeed is a very powerful way of improving quality. Automatic defect logging is one that puzzles me, and maybe the person who added that, can you put on your microphone and explain a little bit, what do you mean with automatic defect logging?
Hi, my name is Purnandulal. What I meant was every time any pipeline or anything fails, it can open up a Git hook and automatically log a defect. It already has a template for you will be setting a template for a particular spec failure. This could be the results. So it's basically machine learning. Every time it fails, you will update the particular Excel and classify it accordingly, so that over a time, when there are similar failures, you will not spend so much time in bookkeeping and all that.
Yeah, okay. So
yeah,
actually you would like to use AI and machine learning to support the whole process of registering the anomalies and fixing the problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
But have some default ways of fixing an issue, because you see them over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just defect logging, but also the whole process around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I see service virtualization. And that's, of course, also a very good way of supporting both development and testing by if you need a specific service that is not yet available, then you still are able to develop and test against a service virtualization result. So a mock instead of the real thing. I think we covered them all, didn't we?
Yeah, and of course, my question, Rik, do you know if all these quality measures mentioned here are already are also mentioned in your sheet or in the sheet on the template?
Well, I would need to check in detail, but in general, everything is touched upon. Maybe not in the exact same words, but I do not think we have things here that were not mentioned yet.
But that comes up to the next slide that you have. That's a slide that that the quality engineering strategy is not finished yet, and that's also about the slide. The slide was in a 0.8 version. It's not in a final version. It is still work in progress. So all your feedback is welcome. So please check out the sheet. Check the quality engineering strategy at our TMAP body of knowledge website, and give your feedback. And on this slide, if you can show the slide, Rik?
I'm already sharing the slide.
Oh, then
Isn't it?
I still see the Menti. But on the on the slide deck, you will see an email address, tmap.nl@society.com. So if you have some feedback, please send it to us, and we will add it to our quality engineering strategy.
I've tried sharing again. Is it now showing?
No, for me it's not showing, but maybe for some.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Okay,
thank you.
Well, then
So
I
here
have
you can also see the email address.
super.
Well, and that brings us to the next slide, and that is the Q&A slide. So who has a nice question for us? And you can put your question in the chat box, or you can turn on your microphone and ask your question right away. Then I will just, I don't see anything moving yet.
No, me neither.
Any questions? One of the things that we which of the quality measure is not applied enough today? Well, we already saw a lot in the Menti, of course, and I think preventive quality measures in general are not applied enough. So one of the reasons why we made the quality engineering strategy is because it puts more emphasis on the preventive and corrective quality measures, which are about building in quality from the start and proactively improving the quality, and not just detective quality measures like testing, because in the old days of IT, people believed that testing should be about finding the problems and then fixing them, and after that you would have perfect software. But actually, over the years, we have learned that IT is so complex that you will never be able to fix all the problems. So you better work towards having good enough quality. And if you have the right quality at the right moment, that's good enough. And that can be largely achieved with preventive quality measures like pair programming that we already discussed a few times. So now the questions are coming in quickly. So Rajare, sorry if I pronounce it wrongly, Rajarao, you say, do we have an example where we have implemented this strategy? Well, currently I know at least in the Netherlands there are two people. One of them is Eva Heerdink. I haven't seen her name in the call, but she is applying it in her project right now. And we are also with a group of people investigating the quality engineering strategy. And well, that of course is our call to join us and help us on that. Then another question of Rajarao is, any projects that we have taken it from the basic to advanced level in the quality engineering scale? Well, in general, I think applying a quality engineering strategy is part of the new TMAP approach. And actually, we should ask Wouter. Wouter is one of the other authors of the book. He often coaches teams on improving, and I'm sure that he also applies the quality engineering strategy to help them improve. In the project where I'm involved, our focus is more on the structured way of showing the indicators that we measure. So in my project, we currently focus on the confidence monitor, which is also described in the book, which is about what is the expected level of confidence that you should have at a certain moment in time, and then what is the measured confidence level, and see if the expectation and the actual confidence level match. And if it doesn't match, well, you know, you have something to do. Then, and if you have anything to add, Dennis, you'll jump in, eh?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'm still struggling because I don't see anything anymore. I only hear your voice. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll pick up the next question from the chat. And the next question in the chat is asked by Feti. And it is, what about data of testing in the quality engineering strategy table? Feti, can you maybe please put on your microphone and elaborate a bit on your question? What do you exactly mean with the data of testing?
Hi, the data of testing is the data that you use when you're testing some component in the project, and some client and some project. The data is strong subject in the testing. It's about this example.
Yeah, okay. So in my opinion, the test data itself is not a quality measure, but it is part of the detective quality measures, so about dynamic testing. But I can imagine that if data and data quality is very important, then it can be emphasized in your quality engineering strategy by making sure that you have, well, for example, by having the right data-oriented test design techniques. Because in our book, we describe test design, and there's two overarching approaches, which is coverage-based testing and experience-based testing. And then within coverage-based testing, we have 4 groups of test design techniques. And one of the groups is data-oriented testing. And if data is very important, then I think you should put in test design techniques in your quality engineering strategy that relate to that data. Does that answer your question?
Thanks.
Okay. And then I don't see any other questions so far. Well, the good thing is we had 3 people asking questions, and we said 3 people would win a free copy of the book. So you are the 3 people that win a copy of the book. And if other people would like to know a little bit what is in the book, you can find a free preview version on the tmap.net website if you look under books, or you can find it on the website ictbooks.com, where you can order them. And also there are some discount rules that apply within our company, but that should be, then you should approach your local marketing and communications people. And if you can't work that out, then, well, just come to Dennis or me and we'll be sure we'll help you. Any last words on the Q&A, Dennis, or shall we go to the closing?
No, let's go to the closing. I was still thinking about the data. Should it be a new quality measure, or should it be an adopted quality measure? But let's go to the closing.
Yeah, but indeed keep this in mind, because we are still working on the list of quality measures, and this is a good suggestion. Okay, so after all of this, maybe you would like to know more. One of the things that we do have is the training courses for TMAP. We have the TMAP Quality for Cross-Functional Teams training course that focuses or that is has as a target audience everybody in a cross-functional team or around that, like product owners and Scrum Masters. And then if you want to go in more depth, we have the high performance quality engineering, which is all about the engineering part of quality. And we have organizing built-in quality at scale, which is more about how to organize for multiple teams if you are in a larger organization. So you may be interested in that. And for all these training courses, there are official exams that are provided by ISQI, which is a worldwide exam provider. And by now, there are already 6 countries of Society where these training courses are delivered. And by the way, it's not just Society, it's also Capgemini. So it's both Society and Capgemini that deliver TMAP training courses. And the number of countries is still growing. So that's a very positive thing. If you want to know more, go to tmap.net. That's the body of knowledge for quality engineering and testing. You'll find information on the training courses there. You can download the syllabi, but you will find all other sorts of information. So just go there, click here and there. Maybe you want to find the introduction to quality engineering and testing if you're new to TMAP, or you may want to dig deeper. For example, the latest edition is SAP testing if you are in an SAP world, so that might also help you. And having said that, we have come to the end of the hour that was allotted to our webinar. Thank you all very much for your attention. If you do have questions afterwards, just send me or Dennis an email. Our email addresses are on this slide. And Dennis, anything to add?
No, yeah, thank you for your participation, for your feedback in the mentees, for your questions in the chat. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, thanks and see you again somewhere in the wonderful world of quality engineering and testing.
Thank you, Rik. Thank you, Dennis, for this wonderful session. Thank you for sharing your valuable information with all of us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome, yeah.
Thank you all for joining. Have a great week ahead.
Yeah. Bye-bye.